Yes, sir.
Good morning. Mike Schmidt, Assistant City Attorney, here to speak about item 51, which was a motion for legal department to appear and provide a report with suggestions on how to best regulate massage parlors in terms of curbing prostitution and possible human trafficking. Legal department, based upon the motion, has gone out and considered what we could provide City Council with regards to today on a report on suggestions. In preparation of today's meeting, legal counsel, myself, as well as Rebecca Kurt, has met with the Department of Health, and we spent several hours over with the Department of Health, those regulating massage establishments, understanding the laws, understanding what they do with regards to their regulations. We have also met with the police department, trying to best understand the problems that the police are facing with the massage establishments in the city of Tampa. We have also met with some of the, and at least spoken to some of the administrative staff to understand our current regulations, and individually we've had an opportunity to meet with some of the members of City Council. Our goal first was to listen and understand the issue so that we can figure out the best way to come back to City Council to address the concerns. In that listening and trying to understand, we have been able to develop the fact that there are certain challenges with the regulation and enforcement of massage establishments and the issues and concerns that have been raised. What we have seen is we don't want to cast too broad a net for those businesses that are massage establishments that may not be within the concern of this motion, meaning that there are clearly a lot of massage establishments out there in the city of Tampa that are operating fully in compliance of the Department of Health regulations, which are regulated under 480 and licensed under 456. Currently, Department of Health has explained that they go in every year and they have a checklist. They go through their checklist. They make sure that these massage establishments that do have to be licensed fit the requirements under the regulations of 480 and that they are operating. They also have to, every so many years, renew their licenses. So Department of Health currently goes into massage establishments. But I think what we've seen is there are other places, and these are the ones we were trying to figure out how to come back to City Council with additional possible regulations on. What we learned through Department of Health and through law enforcement was that certain places are operating beyond a massage establishment. And how could we categorize those places so we're not casting the net and capturing everybody? I think what we've identified is that the places that are the concern here where they might be at least soliciting prostitution, these places seem to have something in common, which is they seem to have either a shower component or a bathhouse component. So once we were able to identify an area that we may be able to regulate better, we were able to then go back and look at our ordinances. We currently have an ordinance on a bathhouse. So what we are suggesting is that we go back, sort of dust off some of the ordinances we have, sharpen them so that we can provide better regulations on bathhouses, so that we can find better ways to not only regulate it, but then to also enforce it. So that's going to take us meeting with administrative staff to figure out how to best regulate it. We need to continuously meet with those who enforce it to figure out how we're going to best enforce these new possible regulations that we come upon. And we're not quite there yet. We also need to look into some legal issues.
So yes, now you want to ask
that's yes. Where we're at currently.
Okay. I thought he was coming in for a landing, so I caught you just before your wheels were down, so I apologize. Mr. Schmidt, as we talk privately, some of the things that are inside the bathhouse description is very specific to really go after the kind of illegal activity that we're finding in some of the massage operations, so-called massage operations. And one of the things that I found on there were several things as part of it when we were going through the ordinance itself, was that people have to sign in, put their names in there in order to go into the facility. The people that are providing the services have to wear a uniform. There are, all these other things where it specifically says that no one can show any kind of genitalia at all. And I thought that this was, and thank you so much to yourself and Ms. Kirk for finding this ordinance in there, because I didn't know we still had a bathhouse ordinance, because I think this was probably written in the early 80s or before. So I think that this is a great way to try to approach it, to try and, excuse the pun, massage the ordinance in order to get something out of this, because I think that some of the things that are already in there, that have already been tested legally, and have been on the books for this many years, I think that we can change it and make it better so that we can actually attack some of those facilities that are doing illegal activity. Because we went through a whole series of different questions in terms of those spas that are actually regular spas that do not provide any kind of illicit activity. They're there for people to get, massages and facials, and some people have whole mud body wraps, things like that. But there's a whole section of this that goes beyond what is allowable, and so we need to make sure we go forward with it. So I appreciate the fact that you came forward and doing that. I have a motion to present for them to come back, if that's okay.
Can you hold it?
Sure, I will.
Thank you, Councilman Soares. Councilman Maniscalco, Councilman Cohen, I don't know who was yours.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the information. I think moving forward with whatever happens, we're going to get some results and actually be able to enforce these measures that are already on the books and take it a step further. These massage parlors, and not all, that are in question, Kennedy Boulevard and whatnot, are in the heart of my district. And that's what concerns me. But beyond that, what concerns me is the issue of possible human trafficking, prostitution, and the likes. I think we have a serious problem. I know this area has been identified as a hotbed for human trafficking. This adds on to it. Us as a municipality, from a legal standpoint, and I know the state has their regulations from the health department, what we can do to ensure that we push these illicit businesses out. The people that are in compliance, let them stay. I mean, there are the good spas, but of course these that I've seen the investigations on TV, you walk in with a camera or whatever it is and they start scurrying and scattering, and people are living in the back, possibly living in the back. Everybody gets nervous. People dressed in lingerie. A lot of the red flags are there. But I know this was brought up several years ago. I know through the Attorney General, she's brought up, the human trafficking issue and whatnot. But us as a city council, I think this is our opportunity moving forward where we can actually do something meaningful and clean up Kennedy. So, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Cohen, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Maniscalco, for that, because I do think there's the issue of what's actually going on in these establishments, and that's what you've been speaking to this morning. But I could not help but be struck with the story that came out of San Antonio this week of the large number of human beings who perished in a tragic circumstance of basically being trafficked across the border. And my question to you is, how are we going to address that piece of the issue? And I guess my first question is, do we have any sense of who are the people that are working in these establishments and where they come from?
That part I probably can provide a little answer to. It's my understanding, at least, through conversations with those who are more familiar with these establishments and investigations, that often some of these places, when we're talking about the places that might offer services beyond the massage establishment, massage and the illicit services, sometimes the individuals who are working there will present, and this is through a conversation with the Department of Health, so let's clarify that this isn't my knowledge, first-hand knowledge, but through what I'm being told. So from what I'm being told is that some of the places will get a legitimate massage license under the state 456, and there is reciprocity with New York. And for some strange reason, there's a specific area of New York where a lot of these people working in these facilities will get a license out of New York and then come down to Florida with reciprocity, and they can also get licensed in Florida using reciprocity, is my understanding.
And one of the things that you told me was that when these licenses are issued, in many cases they don't have a photograph attached, so the person can just literally adhere any photograph to it and appear to be the licensee, correct?
Again,
I know this is
not being
anecdotal,
Department of Health, right? But yes, there are some issues. I think the Department of Health would probably be best speaking on these issues, but it is my understanding that the state licensing, there is an issue with the license itself is a number. It's a certificate number, and there is no photo technically attached to it. They are supposed to attach the photo.
So the point I think we're getting to is that it is very possible that there is a need for additional state regulation here in order to tighten up who is able to pass as a legitimate massage therapist when in fact they may not be trained. I know that some of your research, you uncovered that people that don't speak English managed to pass a test that was given in English. So obviously there's some looseness in the way this is regulated. The other piece of it is, we have had presentations here on human trafficking before, and there are a lot of concerns about who is it that ends up working in these establishments. Are they people that are coming directly from our high schools in this community? Are they people that are being imported into the country on trucks like the one that we saw in Texas? What you told me, and I just think it's important for the public to know this, is that a lot of the people that are working in these establishments may be the victim of some sort of immigration type of extortion, where whoever they work for might have control of their passport and their documents, so they might not really be free to come and go as they please. Is there anything that we can do to tighten up on that end of it? Is there anything that our police department can do or immigration officials can do to tighten up on that end of it?
I would like to come back, when I come back, hopefully, on this issue and try to get an answer for that. Rather than being, as of now, I'm not, I don't have anything for you on that issue.
So I guess just to close, I'm totally supportive of making some adjustments to the bathhouse ordinance. I think that's a great first step. But I really think that we should be aggressive in encouraging the state to crack down on the licenses and also to try to find a way to deal with this immigration issue, because it seems to me that there's different ways of holding people against their will. And it doesn't always have to be at gunpoint or to have to be locked in a room. In some cases, it's just that the person has absolutely no ability to fend for themselves out in the community. And I think when we come back with solutions, we got to go at it from that end as well, because it's clearly a multi-tiered problem. Thank you.
Councilman Vieira, then Councilman Murray.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I also wanted to thank also the good folks from Clean Up Kennedy for all your work. I mean, you guys are really doing work that I really believe is going to change people's lives, and very vulnerable lives that are being exploited. This issue of human trafficking is a national issue that is locally drawn here in the Tampa Bay area. The state of Florida ranks 3rd or 4th nationally whenever it comes to rates of human trafficking. And the Tampa Bay area is in the top 2 or 3 spots within the state of Florida. People often say, think globally, but act locally. Here we have a national issue, but locally is really where one of the hearts of this crisis really is, and it really is a crisis. One of the things that bothers me the most whenever I see stories like in San Antonio, or you see the stories here, you see a lot of the women who work in these places, they don't speak English. Most of them are immigrants. They come to this country, like many of our parents and grandparents did, seeking the American dream, but instead they find the American nightmare of exploitation, the American nightmare of violence, of consistent degradation and brutality. And that's what we're here to put a stop to today, by every means that we can. So again, I just wanted to thank the good folks at Clean Up Kennedy, because I think that you guys are doing great work, and my hat is off to you guys, and I mean it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Miranda, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Let me say this. In real estate, at the end of the day, the landowner has a responsibility. Do we know if these businesses own the land, or are they renters? Do they have a contract? Because at the end of the day, I think that you have another avenue that we have not talked about. That's a nuisance to the landowner. That landowner, whoever they are, and I don't know who they are, has a responsibility. And I think by just the legal department making a suggestion to them by mail to say that they're going to have a problem may solve some of the problems. No landowner wants to be in front of these cameras. They just don't. Especially when you're a landowner on one of the thoroughfares to the city of Tampa. One of the largest thoroughfares to the city of Tampa is Kennedy Boulevard. And is it changing? I think it's changing for the better. For a long time, it was very, very run down all over, from close to downtown to all the way where it meets the sections there by the mall where you're going to St. Petersburg. It's been changed. A lot of new things have happened, a lot of cleanup. And I think this is the last remaining part, if my memory serves me correct, that has some of these problems. So I think if you send a letter to the landowner to explain and ask them what they think is going on there and how well they are prepared to answer, to go to court, I think you will find a very positive response. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will say that I'm glad it was brought to our attention by Kennedy Boulevard, but it is the entire city. It is Dale Mabry, it is Cypress, it is Hines. Yeah, so that is one of the things that we look at very much. The human trafficking part is just one of the saddest byproducts of immigrants that do come into this country that are not legal, and they're taken advantage in so many ways. Not only in massage parlors, but they don't get paid for the work that they do that day. And this is, whether it be construction, it's very, very sad what happens to these people, and they do come to find a nightmare. I look forward to hearing what the councilman has for a motion, so please do.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And by the way, thank you so much for mentioning that, because, Clean Up Kennedy means not just that street. It means the entire city. When I was having a conversation with Mr. Schmidt, we discussed that there were two locations that were closing down. One that was on Kennedy, but another one in another part of the city. So it's not just Kennedy, even though that is really one of the major thoroughfares, as Mr. Miranda mentioned. It is all over the city, and we have to make sure that we are vigilant in trying to fight this type of illicit activity. So I'd like to make a motion that Mike Schmidt and other staff and the administration to present specific enforcement solutions to illegal activities at massage establishments and bathhouses using that particular ordinance, and to report back to us on September 28th at 9 a.m. during our workshop session. So the good part of having a workshop session is that you'll be able to talk as a member of the public after we have discussed some of the options. So it's a little bit different than the meeting we have here. So those members of Clean Up Kennedy hopefully will be here to discuss that.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Suarez, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Before you vote, can I ask the maker of the motion to include, because I keep hearing Mr. Smith reference this, to include Department of Health?
You know, I was going to make a second motion to that,
Oh,
but
okay, okay,
that's perfectly fine. I'll make a second motion, Mr. Reddick.
Okay.
Exactly like that for different reasons.
Okay.
So.
When you do that, would you also include getting back to us on the issues of the state licensing and?
I'm going to go into all that.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Swartz, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you, it passes. You
Okay.
have another motion.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
You know, I'm just going
Go
to say
ahead,
real
yes, ma'am.
quickly, when we talked about the photos on the license, nail techs have their photo on the license. How did the state let that fly by? That's a good question. Anyway, thank you, Councilman Swartz.
Another motion, and this goes directly to what the Department of Health does. I'd like them to come and have a report about why, when there is a massage therapist, a person that works in one of these illicit activities that have a felony, that they're still allowed to have a massage license in the state of Florida, and how that can be changed. I don't know if we have to change it by state law or if there's something already on the state law, but I'd like the Department of Health to come back and report on that specific issue, because I think that's something that we might have to talk to the legislature about.
Okay, so we have a...
And it'll be coming back at the same day, September 28th, 9 a.m.
Thank you. A motion by Councilman Swartz, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And lastly, if we could have a law enforcement that deals with immigration issues, primarily those folks that are in trafficking, my guess would be, and Mr. Schmidt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the Attorney General's office, I think, has a task force, as does, I think, maybe FBI and Secret Service might have some of that, maybe not Secret Service, but FBI in terms of this. And I don't know if our immigration department officials, if you could reach out to them, Mr. Schmidt, to ask them if they could appear and ask for enforcement issues concerning specifically human trafficking when it comes to massage parlors. I'd appreciate it.
Second.
Also on September 28th at 9 a.m.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Swartz, second by Councilman Cohen. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes,
I need
Councilman
some
Moran.
information from Mr. Schmidt. Do you know if the Department of Business Professional Regulation anyway covers some of these areas? I don't know. I'm asking a question because it's health, but I don't know if it's under that department or which.
Right, and
Can we find out? Let me know.
I will.
And I'll tell you why. I so happen to work for them. I hope they don't fire me for this. If they do, so what? I'm looking for another job when I found this one. And that department, they're very strict with the licensing procedures, and I applaud them for that. Even if you have a DUI 20 years ago and you apply for a license, they'll deny you until you bring up all the paperwork, and you have to go find it yourself in whatever county, whatever state it happens in, so that they can formulate that at the time you had that DUI, it was not one that you committed a crime, aside from the DUI ticket. That you didn't kill anybody, and you didn't do anything like that.
No.
And that's the only, and it usually takes 10 to 91 to 90 days or so for them to come back with an answer. So they do that, so I don't know if they fall under that umbrella, that's why I'm asking. So can you find out? I appreciate it.
Very well.
And Mr. Miranda, if I could, Department of Professional Regulation typically does cover all those aspects. I know that you are licensed by the state. I am licensed by the state as an insurance agent. We have two members of the bar here. We all have specific regulations that we have to follow, and we cannot have a criminal record for the most part in order to get a license to begin with. But yet, someone that is licensed by the state can go in and actually go into these places and have outstanding felonies. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. So, and it may be because of the reciprocity that you mentioned
Exactly,
before.
you just took the
Yeah,
words right
I think
out of
that's
my
probably what it
Yes.
is, but thank you, Chair.
Okay. So, we have a motion on the floor. No, are we done? We did, okay, great, yay. Thank you. Any other questions do you have any other comments, sir? Thank you for your in-depth report. I appreciate it. We move on to item 52. Yes, the update